Welcome to my lovely HP community and the 5D collective. We're going to look into our lovely June energies. Now, before we begin, let me make sure you are on the right podcast and channel. Lovers are the functional inner child adults. So when we are dealing with any of those who are sirens, those are people who need Patrick Tiahan. And right now, what you're going to get to practice, if you are one of our lovely 5D collective members, mystic, spiritual, and mindful, living, loving person, is that that is ready for self-help and personal development, spiritual development, because you're self-led. And so securely attached, non-traumatized people. Emotions, easy peasy. Thoughts, easy peasy. Doesn't mean we're fond of meeting those who are consistently Cusco's, but it happens because, that's what happens when you got people who don't know how to use their mind wisely because they don't have an integrated brain, and so they don't give with gratitude and grace because they, again, don't know how to give to themselves. An orphan is an orphan because they need a therapist, and in the meantime, they definitely will make up stories about themselves being healers, and you'll notice they're not experienced in their field. I'm experienced in being Maria. Told you all about my little personality patterns, and so I don't put up a mask. I know how to allow myself to be with those who have masks as authentic as can be while protecting my child parts, because the minute that I notice that your 3-year-old comes up, which is going to be a 16-year-old, your shadow, it's going to be a Cusco. Okay, so a self-led person will spot this because the nervous system is a small frequency. Also, they have a mother wound. They have a father wound, and they're not definitely a star baby yet because they actually need to make it sound like you are small. So ego will always be spotted by a whole self, and that's why, again, we won't do anything. Immunity isn't enough to be saluted. It's called people who don't have healthy boundaries. Their shadow is basically an exile protector that served their 0 to 8-year-old, but they don't want to heal it. So we leave it alone because the self, I'm a whole self, I'm my own empowered feminine, empowered masculine, I'm my best counterpart, I'm the one for Maria, because my heart can always stay open right here. And then, obviously, when I meet others who lead from this and not have mood swings that lead from this, then I know that I'm with expanding 5D, mystic, spiritual, mindfully living, loving people. And that's why the Anima Mundi collective, we make our dreams a reality because we have a solid foundation with our whole self. And so spirit has everyone's back, but we'll be channeling spirit, source, Akash, council, all of it, God, from our prefrontal cortex. And yes, the abundant universe will provide. And as lovely Patrick Tiahan points out, people who go heal, they get to become open-hearted and spontaneous. And that's what we love to meet here at HP. People who are healed and are ready to love. And we do completely unconditional love. So we forgive our brothers and sisters that want to stay in hell because we don't have to do anything. If you're in a genuine relationship, you will consistently build one. If you're in a relationship where you're genuine, you're going to continue to build it. That's why we don't end relationships. We recalibrate them if necessary. You don't have tragedy with anyone to inflame. Soulmates, again, using mind wisely, integrated brain, it's a whole self. So I give with grace and gratitude, and the only time, obviously, I'm going to say something important for the community is that if you are wanting to live with people, that's where you're going to want a therapist like Terry. Because physiological state, when shadow comes up, it's not something they're choosing. And if they don't take ownership of it by actually correcting, they can't correct the physiological state by themselves. They have to, as Pat Ogden points out, go and do EMDR, child part work, somatics, meaning metabolize. Sensations, images, behaviors, affects, meanings. And Dr. Daniel Fox presents. So you need to have identified what your exiles are doing and protectors and give them room to speak. Inner growth is for people who are ready to grow. People who need core, narrative, relational, solo self-integration need a therapist because that's how important it is to notice your first 3 years are implicit memory, not explicit. Then you have explicit, and also the FYI, bunch of people I know, they've done nothing. Since 2005, I've been ascending. I got attachment trauma informed in the last years. Anytime you got shadow exiles, they kind of keep on bringing, they think entertainment is actually entertaining. I find it boring. They're hooked on drama. They're hooked on their modulated embodiment. So IHP is not for people who are hooked on their visceral. how do you know who to trust? Thank you, Gary V. Trust everyone until they show you that you can't trust them. I trust everyone anyways, but I learned their Cusco hands. And that's the moment that my inner child is not going to be presented to them because I'm a functional child adult. So it's anger, sadness, and fear, your subcortical areas. The minute that you know of how to manage your own self, it's amazing. And then you master. Here's physical mastery. I'm an Akashic record reader, so ascension energies allow us to expand. June's going to be an amazing month for those of you who are expanding. Practice opening your heart and being vulnerable. Thank you, Gary V. Yes, that's always. I was an adolescent when I began saying yes, and those who are closed-hearted, I don't have to be closed-hearted. I'm going to be Maria. Be yourself mindfully and spiritually for those of you of spirit, and this is why it's amazing to do resiliency in our restorative embodiment. You're self-led. You are with your prefrontal, the upper world. It's just not going to get any... There's no dark night of the soul. There's no ego death. There's none of the words that the storytellers have. So spiritual bypassers and savior complex people. I'm going to leave that one for later, but you'll soon realize that the people breaking your trust aren't hurting you, they're hurting themselves, and that's why, as Janina Fisher points out, it's not self-sabotage. People who don't know how to work through their past, it's because they need a therapist and they don't want one. They follow idiots who tell them not to go get one, and they think that they're not idiots because, again, they perform in life. So you can remember the past. I can. Yes, my childhood. It doesn't live through me. Those who are exiles and shadows, they don't love. My facade friends showed me. They will, to a T, match what the therapists have pointed out. Adaptive child part, they talk over you. They come in with a, I'm going to win, you're going to lose. And they're actually completely in low self-esteem in the moment. But it's a 0-8-year-old who played this out. And so that's why their karma continues to come with them because they're not living in their prefrontal and doing dharma. So their past lives through them. And again, if they're not doing anything, it's not your job, quote unquote. It's not a job, but I'm here for personal development, self-help, spiritual development, and I'm a 5D mystic in the Enlightenment Soul Age group. I do follow Jesus's words. I will forgive. I will turn the other cheek, and I will learn how to remind you all I have personality patterns. And my perfectionist knows she's imperfect, and that's okay. And my giver knows I am going to fulfill my needs, and my protector will protect me. And I don't need to do any talking because the minute that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I see your pattern. Like Shiva, I see your pattern. I'm Kali with Shiva and Krishna Lila. I spotted you. You can experience the present when you are curious, open, accepting, and loving. When you're connected to yourself, open, aware, and loving. Yes. And then when you're also noticing, thanks, Dr. Daniel Siegel, how to differentiate, recalibrate your nervous system, and be in the presence of that which is a shadow part. So while I get to be this, okay, and that's for the people who want to create resiliency, those who will be this, it's going to be a fun time for them. For us, it's going to be a time of learning what their exiles, protectors want to do, which is play out a game that is not a game because it's not actually funny. It's a child that protected themselves in what was an unfortunate environment. So again, it breaks my heart that there's so many therapists out there that are asking people to go heal and people don't go. But we experience our present and we craft the future, our own. That's Dharma people. So in the marketplace, it is considered smart to give less and take more. In a genuine relationship, you give whatever you can without caring what you get back. Thank you, Sadhguru. And as he points out, love is accepting, respecting, and welcoming people for who they are. Love is also going to be a liberating process and not an entangling one. And that is another quote from him. So we don't lose trust with people. We learn about people. I learned about my facade friend, and now I have attachment trauma education to inform you of it. And then a lot more. So let me leave alone my notes as we conclude our episode for the June energies. The 5D collective are harnessing their ventral vagal state. So you are embodying your own embodied self, okay, as an eternal child. And so the energies are simply going to allow you to continue to manifest with your A game. Your A game is a fun game. And again, as the one of your own self, you get to learn how to harness all of it. The 0, 1, 3 to 7, okay? The freeze of all ages, 11, 12, the flight, and 14, 15, 16, the fight. But you get to spot how to keep maturing. what I love most of all when I spot the perfectionist in me is that she's completely not the rigid teenage version. And even when I was a teenager version of myself, I can tell you that it was fun expanding to this. Okay. And so again, side note, the upper world. You are connected to the upper world when you're connected to your prefrontal, because you know how to navigate the wind of your thoughts and the emotions of your body. And so you are your own sorcerer, and I am a sorcerer, not a witch, although some people think they're the same. And actually, when I looked at the definition of the sorcerer, I wasn't really appreciative of it, because I'm like, that's not what I know. But I did understand why, because spiritual bypassers and savior complex people who, well, they think they're healers. So the comedians need a story, because when your 0-1-year-old is not seen by you, you're not a securely attached, self-led person yet. You're not a non-traumatized person. You don't know how to handle attached panicky. I do. You can thank the panic attacks. So attached panicky is where you will say, hey, 0-1-year-old, Dr. Daniel Siegel, I love you, man. Even though I don't talk to my 1-year-old like that, but all my child parts, they're all here. And so it's okay. So anger is about correction, but we don't correct people's behaviors, because a healthy self-worth person, as Dr. Daniel Fox presents, will know how to not do characterological distinctions. And that's because many paths to enlightenment, we've chosen the love path. I'm the empowered feminine and masculine of myself, and so are you, which is why you embody the sun and you embody the tree of life. So you know every body is different than another body, and the soul gets tainted by that which will be something that needs a therapist. EMDR, child parts work, somatics. I will continue to repeat this because there's a bunch of people who don't do therapy, and they need it, and they don't want it, and that's okay. But I'm here for self-help, personal development, and I do mindfulness practices with mindsight skills, because I have access to all of sensations, images, feelings, and thoughts of Maria, and I don't project them. So again, when I meet the shadow, I know what I'm meeting. I'm not going to shame that shadow, because I'm not going to repeat what they already lived. I'm going to allow silence to take place, recalibrate my nervous system. Thanks, Dr. Daniel Siegel. Differentiate. And as I was saying, this is not a curse. I'm not meeting another cursed human. No. The sad story of human beings who don't know how to understand what suffering is. I know what suffering is. It's a choice. No, it's not. They didn't choose to be a 0-1-year-old, 3 to 7 that didn't have what is a child-centric environment. Excuse me. They didn't choose their embodied whatever. The point is, there's an answer and there's a solution. Stephen Porges points out it's a physiological state. So no human is cursed. If they're hooked on their drama, though, they will find a story for you. And so, again, I know when I meet the adaptive child part person, and that's always with shadow exiles, they have mood swings, they change it up, they minimize people, and they make fun of those of us who are in our ventral energy, because they don't, again, have an experience of an innocent childhood. When I was in one of my hypnotherapy sessions, you remember I told you about the 11-year-old. I'm trying to find the quote. Not this one. So my 11-year-old, here it is. Trauma is not a story of something that happened in the past. Trauma is the imprint that all experiences leave on your soul and your body as your sensations. Thank you, Basil Vanderkolk. So a person who wants access to their soul will need to get access to the human stuff and get out of their stories of human suffering, cursing, and all that. Curse meaning not I curse all the time, but my 11-year-old in my hypnotherapy session, as I got to talk to vulnerability, shared it would have been really nice to meet a child, at least one, that wouldn't have pretended to not be vulnerable. So pure vulnerability spoke through me and said it would have been nice to have that. And maybe as a grown-up, no, it's not ever going to happen, because I'm not an 11-year-old, I'm a 45-year-old. So my 11-year-old will not know of another 11-year-old. And I didn't understand it as the 11-year-old. Why are you pretending to be mean? I know you're not mean. You're pretending to be mean to hide your emotions. Today I give you an explanation. The therapists explain it. That's it. So I'm not afraid of sensations, of images, of behaviors, of affects, of meaning. I'm not afraid to love. Those who are will continue to be that which Cuscos are. So the seers will understand that it is not our job 5D mystic, mentor, content creator, podcast host, channeler, downloader. It is not my job to channel for people who need a therapist. In fact, those who do will like to follow the people who give them a story that make them sound special. And so when I see that which is a shadow, I remember of Rocky Balboa's little quote. All right, let's go grab it. And then I remember that there are those who are hooked on drama. I have a course on it. And there's not only people who are hooked on their pseudo-life stress, they're also hooked on drama. And it's very uninteresting for a securely attached, non-traumatized person to engage with any of it, because it's a waste of my fucking time, because your human suffering is healable, human being. And thank you, Buddha, for making fun of me. I'm going to keep making fun of the ones who actually don't know how to live life. It's not because I want to tease no, it's because the cowards is what they are, because they're leaving their child to rot in their body in hell, and they think they're badass, and they're not. With stories like this. I love the quote, Sylvester, but let's do it from ventral vagal, shall we? So I got to get here on my own organically, because I'm a self-led, securely attached, non-traumatized person. And so the people who will be back will be the same. They like emotions and they like thoughts, not the ones who want to make it sound like they did something special to get emotions going, okay? So it's not special, it's not a reward, and it's something called, thank you, counsel, the counsel, higher counsel. It's wisdom. It's knowing that any of your cherishable beliefs can be falsifiable. It's understanding the smart, good therapist. I am cultured, knowledgeable because I chose it. And I do have a master's degree. And anybody who thinks education is stupid, again, we're going to leave it alone. Because 3D, 4D ain't going anywhere. My brothers and sisters are going to keep navigating this planet of love and fear, because fear doesn't eliminate itself. We still have animals out there as long as we're alive. So again, let me tell you something you already know. The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. Actually, for some of us it is, but we get it. Some of us started in the Akashic Records book. Yes, I know all about it. Again, I'm an Akashic record reader, so I get it. I'm lucky. Gary Vee, really, last time that person, so Gary Vee, I don't think he watches any of my stuff, but he got an interview, and this guy's like, you just got lucky. And he's like, no, I did work. I'm like, yeah, you did do work. We know you did work. I mean, you don't need to tell that guy anything. Leave it out. Leave him alone. No, but he turned around answering this guy, and I'm just thinking, wow, I wouldn't do that. But that fits my personality pattern. See, my perfectionist and my giver and protector. At a certain point, I just go quiet. And that's the staff of authority. It's not being louder. It's at the point in which I'm in front of a Cusco. I'm an empowered feminine. I don't do anything with masculines. I eat them for breakfast. No, I actually don't do any of it, because I learned from teenagers what not to do. And so I'm going to leave it at that. Again, they are in their modulated, dysregulated. Their 0-8-year-old needs a hug. They don't want a hug. I can't hug them. I'm told that just my presence alone with ventral energy is triggering, so I need to just stand down, allow themselves to get out of their system, their projection, and then leave it again. And so here, the world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It's a very mean and nasty place, and I don't care how tough you are. It will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. You, me, or nobody's going to hit as hard as life. But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward, how much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. Life doesn't hit you to the ground unless you ignore it. And that's where life will, like, thank you, Sadhguru. He shares this one very good visual. He says, source or life, I forget what word, will eat at you until you are walking basically with a stick. And I have seen it. My facade friend, he's just one of the many. So any person who has their inner child not healed, their modulated embodiment, your distress. There is a very straightforward equation for people who don't get integrated, and that's because they don't want to. That while integration is a process, those who understand that it is a process that you can adhere to by going to therapy. Again, so I'm going to pause that part. 5 ascension energies bring stuff up, and if you are a self that is whole, then you're going to be back here because you enjoy doing thoughts and emotions. Those who need a therapist, they won't be here because they don't like the lovey-dovey content. The ones who think that it's not that simple and that they need, there's a special group, they're the same people who I know all about. And I love their masks. They look fabulous in their suits. As long as they keep on doing, their temples are going to grow. They're going to continue to have a bunch of people. Oh, and just because they use books, they're going to think that they are actually the true speakers. The ones of us who are connected to God, Source, divinity, infinity, and beyond. Yes. Let me go find council. Yeah. So when you need to hear about spirituality being more special than science, you already know that you have a adaptive child part person, because a half-brained person needs to give one subject matter more value than the other. A two-brained sided person, that means left and right, doesn't need to do that. I'm grounded in reality. Any of my cherishable beliefs can be falsifiable. 97% of what is out there is unavailable for scientists to observe, so let alone spirituality with all of our different stories. Nobody owns God or divinity. The different religions, they can stay separate if they want. That's their choice, not our choice. They can keep using Lucifer's name. It's a bullshit name, because all people who fall within the category of evil, thanks, Michael Stone, with your forensic criminologist scale, they're all actually pathologies, and they only follow pathologies. The 7 to 14 are not charming. They're the same ones who lead, it's a very clear story, the modulated embodiment. Women, 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 gather, 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 gather. Remember, if they don't fuck you. No, if they fuck you, don't think of it. If they fuck you, don't think of it. If they don't fuck you, that's a good thing. Maybe. Oh my gosh, we could keep going. I'm not going to. But some men will tell you if they fuck you and don't text you back, it's because they will have felt shame and contempt towards you 1 second after pulling out, and then shame. And they don't say to you in a 1 minute short, go to therapy, man. Nope. And women, please don't take offense. Nope. None of that comes out of the mouth of this human being man who thinks he's offering something of value. I know who he's offering it to. Yes. Poor unfortunate souls. So sad, but true. They are unhealed people who think they're healed as they live like not badasses, and they read something like this and think that life is not rainbows and sunshines. I'm going to say, thank goodness I'm drinking water right now and I'm breathing air. I'll be eating food shortly. So I'm going to say that, yes, life can be in your ventral energy and grounded. And when I meet people who are not grounded in reality and they get into my energy sphere, it's not mental warfare. And I've seen El Dorado on a screen. And this is a person who has more certificates than I'll ever have. And I'm like, okay, pseudo-aliveness. Wow, shouldn't anybody of his colleagues tell him that shit's going down? Oh, he won't believe it. That's right. He's going to say, you're all against me. Because spiteful teenagers, you know what they do with grown-ups. They spite us. And that's because they're spiting their own selves. No, the adaptive child part person, let me again let you know what they actually, exiles and protectors, they come out because of a reason. Difference is the lack of self-aware person is not caring, like my facade friend, what they're bringing to the table. So he taught me how not to talk, because I usually will tell people that are in my circle everything. But because he was this very, very big talk that we had, and he's still important, but my point is, as I'm talking to him 3 years down the line, after having shared like my soul, I find out that none of what was said was actually stored within the mind of my friend. And you might say one person, and so you're making it all. No, they match shadow side. People who lead with their exiles, they just keep doing it. Again, they think life will beat you to your knees, that it hits you and stuff like that. So long story short, as we close on out, you win by doing what is called, if you want, prefrontal cortex workout. Love and connection heals trauma. Trauma blocks love and connection. Trauma blocks who we authentically are. Trauma energy makes us something other than us, and it is love and connection that heals trauma. Frank Anderson, MD. So when people are their open-hearted self, as a whole self, we are the one for ourselves. And as functional child adults, what I can tell you is you're always building a genuine relationship. And that you are not somebody's therapist. And so you leave alone if a person doesn't become aware that they're hooked on drama, on stress, that they are adaptive child part people, like my facade friend. They won't because they continue to lead with those exiles, protectors. They tell you that's who they are. They don't moderate their personality patterns. They don't know their temperament because they can't handle their nervous system in their ventral vagal state. And they don't try because they don't take seriously going to get their selves healed. It's a physiological state. As Pat Ogden points out, and more than just her, Bezel van der Kolk, again, it taints your soul. It taints you. And it's not the real you, because it's you in the safety behavior for a reason that was your 0-8-year-old. Okay, so the adaptive child part, here's Terriel, a child's version of an adult that developed to protect the wounded child. Often perfectionistic, harsh, unforgiving. sees the world in black and white. An older child, they are unable to learn new skills. They can once they start to integrate, though. They care only about self-preservation. Correct. They're self-centered, like my facade friend. View intimacy as a threat, which is why they put up a mask. Again, it's not funny. It's just Cusco continues to lie to Pacha even at the end of the movie. And not only reacts to aggressor, but also identifies with the aggressor. So they become the very same thing that actually was not nice to them, which is what makes it even triple heartbreaking, if you will, because in the meantime, an empowered feminine is going to know in front of me I got a child. It's a broken one. They're not broken, but they have shame defectiveness at the core. Then they have revenge, little pissy pants, and then the blame, shame, fault. And they continue as an adaptive child part to use shit like this. It ain't how hard you hit, it's how hard you can get hit. Look at me. I got hit 3 million times. Really? Wow, is that how dumb you are? Because seriously, if you're getting hit that many times, you must not know how to use your brain. That's the one thing I will let you all know. Empowered feminine here. When I heard what they started to do with the whole twin flame, I'm like, what are you, morons? Who's controlling you? You don't know how to use your own body? What's going on here? Aren't you mystics? Aren't you of energy? Aren't you channeling counsel? What are you doing? You don't know how to handle this. Wow. You know, I'm going to say that you might want to reconsider. This is how it felt. So empowered feminine, you don't test me. That's anyone. But that's because I own Maria. When you own your child part, you're self-led. And here, I'll do it this way. So my perfectionist pattern, FYI, when I read those cards that I read to you yesterday, I'm thinking of that anger thing and the sin. And I can understand it. This is why science and spirituality, I can bring to you science alone, but I'm of spirit, meaning that I believe in God. I'm a mystic. I believe in source. When I'm channeling, I am not only a believer, I am a vehicle. And I am woo-woo pseudoscience, though, because I know science, and science is not fake. And I don't believe the earth is flat, and I don't believe in any of the Alice in Wonderland rabbit holes, okay? So my point is, when you bring science and spirituality together, which is what I do, human elements, spiritual and spirituality, it is very clear who's using their mind wisely. And giving with grace and gratitude isn't, I forgave. I did this. I have a soul. I'm a spiritual healer. That's not it. No. When you're grounded in reality, you're a human like everybody else, and it's not because the topics are trending. Everyone's intuitive. Not everyone's intuitive with their prefrontal cortex. So our brothers and sisters in 3D, 4D, they will live hell in their body. They will live their modulated distress. They will continue to channel and create stories. They will not go anywhere. And that's fine because they're not breaking any laws. We're all storytellers. We are all on YouTube, at least. I'm a content creator. I'm a storyteller. When I'm doing educational, it's entertaining educational. I'm not the school. And if somebody doesn't understand what school's for, I'm not going to have to explain anything to them. Walk a walk and talk a talk. Jesus taught me how to forgive my brothers and sisters who live in hell inside their bodies. The kingdom of God is within every person. If they choose to achieve their restorative, embodied, self-aware, accountable, regulating life. Become your whole self. Step 1. Become the one for you. Step 2. Open your heart to yourself. Step 3, protect yourself. Doesn't mean I close myself off to those who are not this. No, I will know what you are. And as Dr. Daniel Siegel shared, Maria, I think you need to differentiate more. Yes, Dr. Daniel, I did. And it works really, really great. I don't need a story. When I'm around anybody, I actually do really great. And that's because of his advice. As he also shared with me, I'm a differentiated self at the age of 3, which is why I'm telling you, I got lucky. Maria knows no shame. And so when someone brings forth that which is an unhealed comedic act of an unseen shadow, I don't do anything, like my facade friend showed me. They don't hear you, and they're playing out, thank you, Pat Ogden, something that has nothing to do with me, and it isn't personal. And so I feel bad? No, I don't. That would be disrespectful. As long as they justify their bad manners, they're justifying their mama wound, their papa wound, and their self wound. I ain't going to do anything about it because, again, they already are living shame every day of their life as they allow themselves to justify what are adaptive child part behaviors, maladaptive patterns, drinking, drugging, fucking, inner outer critic. They ruminate, the Zen master with his laundry. So when I catch myself contemplating something, because that's what we do with the inner growth mindset every day, uncertainty, unexpected, unwanted, right? I have an open heart. I am the one for me. I go with the flow, and with myself, my higher self, I get to explore things. And I say, it's okay, child of mine. You have your inner conversations and recalibrate. And remember, your brothers and sisters who live in 3D, 4D, they are of fear. And if they choose to stay there, it's not Lucifer. Michael Stone, forensic criminologist scale, they can all get arrested, or some get followed by others and they become. And so again, the cave, I think of Plato and Socrates. Fake idols, yeah, bountiful. And the ones who think that because we talk about God, divinity, source, consciousness, Christ in our ways, and they point a finger at us, that doesn't mean anything. Ignorance is not bliss. I actually find it quite humorous that they don't learn neuroscience and decentralizing the self, because had they learned very well all that I learned, they would know, wow, heaven in the body, everybody's going to get it. They wouldn't be so picky. But you know what half-brained people do. Again, they're left-brainers. They don't have confidence. No, if you have integrity, you have confidence. If you have self-awareness, accountability, and you regulate out of a ruminating brain, you got confidence. If on the other hand, you continue with the underworld in your brain, you got a story for you. So the ones who want to tell us all about, ancient books, I know who they are, like a smart man said. Have you ever noticed they always use ancient books to tell you what's going to happen tomorrow? Yes, they're not grounded in reality. So they're not grounded in neutrality and duality and the truth, which is our star, our sun. It lives. Science is always going to be something that gets us to move forward. It's not a threat to spirituality. You don't lose your spirituality. You don't lose faith if you have faith. That's the one part. When you have a relationship with God, you don't have a relationship with God or divinity because of the books, because of the words. People who need words are using their left mode. The empowered feminine doesn't use words. We use this. We don't use stories. This. It's a very specific frequency, and it doesn't have any story, and that's what those who are storytellers don't like. The ones who need an identity, they are clowns. They need an identity because they don't know how to be into the unknown, and so personality patterns, I fully look at every angle of Maria's is from my perfectionist to my giver to my protector. And that's what is amazing of self-help personal development. So here at HP, we integrate it all. Again, mysticism is fun, anima mundi, and enlightenment, the soul age group, but you don't identify with any of those words. You will use words, as I do, because that's how it works, but we don't actually pretend. And so it's fun to live life. You live, you love, you laugh, you learn, you expand, and you don't cast stones. And yes, thank you, Sylvester Stallone. I love you, man. You mean nobody's gonna hit, so life doesn't hit you hard. Life nudges you. If though, like Sadhguru's story goes, you allow yourself to ignore it, you'll be walking with one leg and a cane. So the part is not funny. It's that my facade friend, I use him as the example because thanks to him, I love him to death. I'm like, you know what? I won't ever do this again. That's what an empowered feminine does. She learns from the past masculines. And that's why we don't have twin flame saga stories. We have something called, let me put it this way. Let me think. How am I going to share it? So June is going to be an amazing month for the empowered feminines who are also empowered masculines, as every ascension energy. You don't talk about your ego dying or about having dark night of the soul. You don't have a story for yourself. The ones who use stories, they're distancing themselves from what is actually going on. Again, they're not integrating the unseen parts of their self. Their masks are full. This is why their energy is very small, and they will use titles and they will make it sound like they know all of the answers to everything. Your one cue is that they tell you to do, walk like me, be like me, and then they will make fun of the ones who are in the ones of us who believe in humanity. I'll just put it that way. They think that we're optimists and not pessimists, and they again don't know the land of truth, because if they did, they'd know that there's no optimism or pessimism with smart brains. That's why spiritual and science, they come together. Dark matter, dark energy. None of the empowered feminines are afraid of tomorrow. The only ones who like to do those trending topics, yes, again, they're creating a crowd. So you'll find what you're looking for on YouTube and anywhere else. IHP, I've always made it for those who will be looking to be their self. Now I know who it will be. And when it comes to 5D Collective, I wondered as long as it took to figure out who they were, and now I do know. And they are securely attached, self-led, non-traumatized people, because we use our minds wisely, because we have integration of the brain. We give with gratitude and grace because we know that every one of our brothers and sisters can make anything come true if they decide to use the upper world and their mind with their own sorcerer magical powers, no, with their own, again, thoughts and emotions. The path to your empowered feminine, your empowered masculine, to your empowered self is that you own your implicit, explicit memory and your child parts as a person who gets curious of yourself. Open, accepting, loving. Curious, open, connected, open, aware, and loving also. So you need to be able to not only contain sensations, images, behaviors, affects, meanings, you actually can use mindset with mindfulness and the lovely practices every day to say, here's how I'm going to deal with this uncertainty, unexpected, unwanted. Here's what I'm going to do when I meet this. I'm going to differentiate, number one. I'm going to recalibrate, number two. And I'm going to bring forth, again, that which is who I am. And then I will contemplate what my next steps are. And I will do something in a safe space and safe environment for myself. Okay, so when you're dealing with life, life doesn't hit you. It's the opportunity for inner growth. Thank you, God. And this is the part I can, again, relate it to my personality patterns. Being good. I'm not good, I'm not bad, but definitely God and I have a relationship. And I will smile at knowing that I chose to follow very specific and simple rules. And as an 11-year-old said, I'm not closing my heart because you all don't know how to love, or 13, whenever it was that I noticed my heart wanted to close. And I'm like, I'm going to catechism. I'm saying yes to Jesus, Holy Spirit, and God. I wouldn't do that. Plus, they're all cowards. You don't do anything with cowards except for allow yourself to put a hand on your heart. It's okay to be sad. We're not connecting. They're in a safety behavior. What you got in front of you is a poor orphan. That poor orphan has a person that can take ownership and say, I don't want to be an orphan anymore. I want to be a functional child adult, and I'm going to go to Patrick Tiahan and his community and learn how not to project my past and to continue doing. If Bill looks at me one more time, I'm going to beat him up, and to not want to do it. I meet a bounty full of people who are not doing anything for their emotional plane. They just use their mouths. It's not the story you tell yourselves. The story matters, but what's happening is your physiological response of your 14-month-old with all your 0-8-year-olds. So subconscious is what rules our 3D, 4D brothers and sisters. They're walking, talking, hey, Cusco, what's up? Hey, Pinocchio, when's your next rock bottom group coming out? Is it 144,000 of something magical? That's how it works. So I'm going to get to share with you more stories. And by the way, in case you didn't tune into yesterday's episodes, let me share with you what came through. And remember, please, we have a new IHP podcast, audio podcast listener series. It'll be at least till the end of the year. 5D Mystic Mentor POVs, perspectives, points of views, excuse me. The one that was yesterday was the self-led, empowering, securely attached people, mystic stories, and being yourself. And you find it on Spotify or Amazon Music or your favorite podcast platform. And so not on YouTube. The YouTube's what we talked about on YouTube, I'll check out the title after, but it was about, again, being securely attached, self-led, and loving. So it went like this. Love is liberating for the securely attached, non-traumatized self-agent because it's freely given. Love means no strings attached, no expectations or obligations. As functional child adults, we love unconditionally with flaws and imperfections as our authentic, wholehearted, open, spontaneous self and bring forth the entirety of what is us. This is because of choosing to have and grow mental, emotional, and physical mastery through applying and pursuing self-awareness, accountability, and regulation skills in VBS, ventral vagal state. With an integrated brain, a whole self, and ownership of the sense of self, our inner growth mindset practices are anchored in ventral energy, and we are online with the prefrontal cortex, so expansion of our self and consciousness is a consistent in life and relationships. Because we easily sit with mindfulness practices and mindset skills as self-led people, we're able to pursue growth and mature thinking, feeling, and living with self and others and our differences, as well as handle uncertainty with growth in the forefront. Since the self is whole and we own our sense of self, we move beyond basic personality patterns, boxes, and types over time and become more flexible with the patterns, as again yesterday we talked about. We also master our temperament and expand when decentralizing of the self happens. Our 5D collective of mystics, spiritual and mindful people enjoy self-help with mindset and mindfulness practices and mindset skills because we enjoy personal and spiritual development and growth as it expands us and consciousness. So tune in to HP and subscribe, of course, if you feel called to continue loving freely, expanding self in consciousness, and you cherish the gift of life you've been given, where you can be yourself, securely attached and self-led. Be you, mindful, flawed, with integrity. And so again, love is supporting each other to fly. Love lifts you up when you're down, and it soars the skies with you when you're up. Love is always there. And as Sadhguru shares, it is the ability to bring out the best in others that makes you a leader. So be yourself in connection, in life and love. And do remember that I bring human, spiritual, and spirituality elements to explore evolution and consciousness, human evolution, and to be yourself. And that mindfulness can help integrate the mind, body, and relationships, which can lead to well-being. Thank you, Daniel J. Siegel, Dr. Dan. And a non-traumatized person with a secure attachment has the capacity to regulate independently of relationships. Thanks, Pat Ogden. And that the 5D Mystic Enlightenment Functional Adult Relationships new stories that I share with you are to heal trauma together and bring forth your humanity. And so it is very frustrating, to say the least, to see my brothers and sisters who continue to navigate hell. But when you read this, when someone is experiencing horrific trauma, this is an adaptive state to be in, because you don't feel pain and you shut down. Ruth Lanius, MD, PhD. The simplest way of defining trauma is that it's an experience we have that overwhelms our capacity to cope. Dan Siegel, MD. Ruth Buksinski, when trauma disrupts or breaks connections between the primitive emotion and thinking areas of the client's brain, we need ways to help them repair that. Okay, so there's not something that you can do. Having only one person doing work for the relationship, half for both of you, isn't going to work either. So here's Patrick Tiahan. Everyone can benefit from therapy, and I think he says 90% of the global population has some form of childhood trauma or attachment wounding. So I can say that I keep on, again, my trauma comes out with my mom. Her and I have a relationship. We talk about it, but that's the part of where my child parts will come up in those instances in ways that I still am working on. But other than that, in, for example, the relationships that I build, friendships, and then, as you all know, the lovely solo poly to the poly fidelity, completely with my personality pattern to a T, the perfectionist, the giver, and the protector. So I've learned, thanks to being my own Kali, Shiva and Krishna Lila, but when Shiva came in and I was aware of this as an empowered feminine, I knew he is going to get me to exactly where I wanted to be. And this exactly is a self-led, securely attached. Again, I'm going to work with what comes up. I don't need a therapist because I'm not going offline clinically. I don't lose moments of time. I'm not projecting out on people. And if I am doing something that is considered bad, I will take ownership of it. That's what happens when you are self-led. And also, again, when you look at yourself objectively, you will say, of course, the sciences are going to say there's attachment wounds, there's this and that. Nobody's going to deny that. I don't want to talk about my story in that way because I don't feel it that way, but they can talk about it however they want. And so it's pretty straightforward. Again, how you treat others is a reflection to me of how you are handling life and how you wake up in the morning. And if you can be with more people and not less people. I don't scan a room and then I don't go out. No, I learned differentiation. Thank you, Dr. Daniel Siegel, because I wanted to go out because of my panic attacks, limiting things in ways that, and when you see people sharing content of, oh, you get anxiety and stress when others make you small, the reality is you learn to harness your nervous system if you want. And when other people don't know how to do this, that's because, again, they're here. So it's called differentiate yourself. Thanks, Dr. Dan. That's as easy as it gets. The people who make up a story, evil, energy vampires, dark auras, they're not nice. Our brothers and sisters, they don't need to hear that. Meaning you actually aren't motivating yourself to do anything from the upper world. You're just using your story. And so what I can tell you is becoming a lover, very straightforward. And we all have our own siren. My siren is getting sloppy with Maria's physical health. Other than that, I don't exclude anything from my own heart. And that's why I don't close it. But I will also protect it. And that's why we protect from them. They are not safe people and they don't do work. And they're not safe for our child parts. And that's why you learn how to differentiate, you recalibrate. And that's why I thank my Shiva, because I did know, again, that everything I got to learn, and not in a way of stories of being some supernatural force. No, not at all. And that's the part of why making any part of the oversoul into what makes me just think of Cinderella. Like, what are you doing? You're actually distancing yourself from the human aspect. These are people that you know. I know every single one of my Oversoul members, and that is where the ones who I don't know, and that's other dimensions. And so all I can tell you is that empowered feminine has no doubt of life or God. God will not ever give me more than what I can handle. God will not tease me. God will not test me. God will present to me one of two opportunities. It is to choose to be dedicated to walking a walk and talking a talk like Jesus did. And when someone says, you can't stop venting, you're not Jesus or Buddha. Wow, I never thought of it that way, but now I know I am restorative embodiment. I'm a mindfulness practitioner, Zen master, your laundry, really? So when you want a window welcome to affect, you go and get one if you don't know how to have one on your own, or light body, light body, light body, rainbow body. I remember when I got it, and then I have a course on energy body expansion. And I did I didn't do anything by myself. Thanks to the therapist, I knew what was going on. Thanks to the sciences, I knew how to handle my embodied brain. And thanks to me making sure that I would wake up good, I knew I'm good. Because I keep check on my health. I wake up energized. I wake up with good blood work, all that stuff. And so I'm saying you stay grounded in reality, which is, are you feeling more open-hearted? Dark night of soul, ego death are all ways to not do any of the shadow stuff is what still takes place for 3D 4D. I had heard they were going to stick around, and now I know exactly who they are. And again, those who don't want to do Patrick Tihan are going to continue like flat earthers to hang out all together. And I do love noticing those who are experienced in what they share and their authenticity and transparency. So that's really awesome to see the 5D collective. And I want to remind you all that fear and love coexist. So our lower frequency brothers and sisters, they are there because our embodied brain does need the reptilian nervous system. Our bears are still going to eat us alive, but we don't need to say life is going to hit you hard. We don't need some rainbow sunshine bullshit crap, you know, the butterfly needing to be horrific, disgusting descriptions of people who could use, again, going to therapy versus me having to hear what is traumatizing to you, and you're re-traumatizing yourself, and you're like licking almost the saliva off your mouth. That's how excited you are because you're drugged on your own drama and modulated. That's disgusting to me to watch anybody getting off of a panic attack. But, you know, now that I have the technical verbiage. And so again, it's very clear when you have people who are facades. They just continue to vibe at a low frequency because their nervous system doesn't learn how to do anything differently, because they don't take their orphaned siren to a therapist. They go and say, I'm a healer. How dare you trauma dump? So here's to Patrick Tihan as he's sharing. Again, I tend to not believe, he says, people when they tell me their childhood was great. Well, of course, Patrick, but yet they can't manage full intimacy and effective conflict in relationships. So that is where he makes sense, because so you know what full intimacy, effective conflict, let me share. My facade friend, again, I'm going to bring him into the mix. When one person that I love said, you know, if you're this angry, it's because you still love him. I'm like, yeah, no shit, Sherlock. He's a friend, he's a bond, you know, he's a bunch of things. Yes, I'm pissed. I'm pissed because of a bunch of shit. And I had put my pissiness in a little box. And I said, hey, God, I'm going to use the word hate with these two people. This was brought up to my attention again. And here's where I was triggered in that moment. And then I apologized. But I was triggered because when people want to chime in my life, and in this case, again, mother and twin, I get to be the, well, I'm not going to justify it, but I work on it. So I will take ownership of the anger little butthole that comes out, and then I will know what I'm working with. And again, this is very small because I'm a whole self. I'm not a person who loses moments of time, fragments, clinically. There are people who talk about their suffering and they auto-analyze themselves, and they are completely waking up not happier by the minute. Then they meet people who tell them things, and again, this is the one place where therapists have said you can't tell somebody what to do because they won't do it to a T. They won't. And in fact, why would you? This is none of your business. If somebody wants to keep their maladaptive patterns, all you get to do is one thing, which is really empowering. I get to choose how to handle Maria and how to be Maria. And you know what? It's great to be able to be this. Because again, when I know that they didn't choose their trauma, I don't want to give them what they are doing. Also, I don't have to, because I'm not ruled by their implicit or explicit. I'm not ruled by their nervous system. You see, differentiation of self, I'm ruled by my own self. That's empowering. It's called self-agency, self-mastery. It's called that I know how to work with my 14-month-old and notice, yeah, my human species. I don't need to play nasty with the teddy bear that is in the low frequency. That's not polite. I'm a good girl. There you go, perfectionism again, my 1-year-old. No, I'm not. But my point is, I know what good is. I know what bad is. And I actually like to walk a walk and talk a talk. I like integrity. It falls within a T to that personality pattern. Again, perfectionism, but I'm a grown-up about it. I'm not a person who's saying, you have it perfect. People will still think, oh, I'm sorry, Miss Perfect, because that's how it works when you're able to spot 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and say, here's your inconsistency. That's all I'm trying. No, I don't do that. I got taught how not to do that. And I said, thank you so much. I'm a hypocrite. I won't be telling you what to do with your life. You're right. I wouldn't listen to you ever. Like, no. So we all make sense to ourselves. But the difference is, do you know how you wake up in the morning with your thoughts and feelings? And how do you treat every person on the street when you're in a bad mood? And actually, why are you still in a bad mood? First world problems, anyone? When you're complaining about working with your emotional plane and you're allowing yourself to justify the mood, and then you're allowing yourself to taint a room, here's where I have people say, that's not a big deal. No, it is a big deal. You can learn how to use your eustress and ventral energy, and I know how to teach it to those who want it, and it's very fun. What's annoying as a securely attached, non-traumatized, functional inner child adult is meeting human beings who think they have this and they don't. And I need to play polite because God tells me not to judge human suffering. Buddha makes fun of me. And I also know one thing, thanks facade friend, they don't give a shit. They're not in a genuine relationship. I got trauma time on a wheel right now. The more I sit quietly, the more they can just feel heard, be seen, play out their shadow, and then I can be done with it and go and do my own. And there you go. And that silence falls within a T with my personality pattern again. So science and spirituality, again, I bring them together because healing trauma seriously. I don't come to you with trauma charges that are unhealed. I come to you with letting you know I can identify that which does come up and I don't justify it. But I also don't need to do work because my window of welcome is very much... I remember my number one proud moment where I was like, you don't need to be proud of yourself. What are you proud about? But I was in the presence of a loved one and they had a reaction, and I was able to continue to converse with them as I'm stuttering because what came out of their mouth was something that triggered a bunch of things, images, sensations, and stuff from the past that had nothing to do with them. In fact, that I didn't want to bring to them and that I won't be bringing to anyone because it's not their story. You know what I mean? So here's where, when it's personal, it's between you and whoever it is that it's personal with. And that's the part of where authenticity will always be clear. But a mood swing will make me know you're not authentic. Like my facade friend, you're just a person who wants a warm body, and safe haven, secure base is what a ventral energy is. Because a person who is a securely attached person will always offer that which they have to give. Again, I'm not going to expect anything back from you because I'm the one for me, because I'm a securely attached 0-1-year-old. I don't need you in my life. You're a bonus. I need air, water, and food. You're a bonus because I enjoy you, you enjoy me, and you'll be a bonus even when you are this, because still you're giving me your time. Thank you, God. Again, this is the part. Appreciation, gratitude, kind intention, mindfulness practice is not hard, Zen Master. You'll have it in the back of your head. I have it thanks to Jesus, God, and Holy Spirit. And then I have the attachment trauma educators who humbled me. Spirit gets humbled by science because science will give you the explanation. And when you see the ones who understand somatic sensory motor and they just know exactly how that poor 1-year-old, and when you get the description, it's just so... I still remember Sue Martin, my teacher from Somatopia, as she's doing this thing, and my heart was breaking every minute. Every minute I'm like, oh my God, please stop. I left my courses crying and saying, I need to not go out because I'm ventral energy. I'm going to be triggering any person. I don't want to trigger their child wounds or part like this. And then I'm like, okay, that's silly. But that's where there's a difference for those of us who are of the 5D collective. When I found out that I'm not needed, Spirit, God, I love you, you know that. But it wasn't, oh my God, it was first, oh, I'm not needed. Then, but they can all be healed. Who? My brothers and sisters in flesh. That's who, because sciences know how to heal them. Determined. Robert Spolsky, come on in. He says that they're not going to choose free will. No, he says something different. But my point is they don't go to Patrick Tian. So, meantime, Perhaps the most frustrating scenario as a therapist, he says, and I think other therapists would agree, is the client asking for help and trying to get their partner to look at their own issues and either go to individual or couples or something. Anything. What is it like for one person doing the work, noticing your partner's reactions in stuck places for them, advising on their issues when it gets bad for them, but still no changes, codependently trying to get them to read the books, watch the videos, trying to improve better parenting of children, but in a silo, navigating sticky family or social situations for the partner, such as MIL, siblings, FIL, I don't know what the acronyms stand for, holding all the emotional space. So none of us are in any of those relationships because, again, a person who's self-led is not doing the work for anyone. But I know plenty of people who do this, and actually I've given them consult. This is social time consult, not actual mentorship, because only people who are serious about themselves are going to be doing any kind of mentorship with me, because it's not bullshit. You don't get a fancy story. You get are we doing emotions today? Yes, we are, always. So when you tell people, two in particular come to my mind, look, you're not in relationships. You do realize this. What you just described to me sounds pretty much Diego's family on a wheelhouse. Like, I don't know what the deal is, but both men need help. And both the women were like, and we need help too. Well, I'm not allowed to say that, but realistically, I would say you might want to check that out, because seriously, empowered feminine here. And so what empowered feminine is a healthy self-worth human being who says, I'm not going to put up any kind of barrier. I'm going to tell you how it is, and I'm going to gauge myself. And thanks to my lovely Shiva again, and all of my lovely oversoul, I got to learn how to master that which is a very, very angry little butthole, which is why it might be a sin in my personality pattern of perfectionism. But you better bet, ask my facade friend what I did when that's why, again, I bring him into the mix. And when I look at those different personality patterns, I'm so happy. I'm so proud of Maria. I'm such a great master myself. Look, I'm good. Okay, so we can have fun with, again, our personality patterns, our temperament, our securely attached, non-traumatized community. That's what we're building here, because either it's earned or you will have had it because you didn't break it, because you didn't get broken. And those who are broken are not broken, but they are fixable. They can get out of defectiveness, shame, and out of what is really, really small, annoying as fuck. I swear, they're just annoying to me. But I forget. Bring it in. So God taught me how not to play a know-it-all. Walk like an Egyptian. And the scientists humble me. The people who want pats on the back, I don't pat shit on the back. Walk like an Egyptian. And at IHP, I want people who are actually going to use their mind wisely, because you're not going to benefit from self-help, personal development, or spiritual development if you don't. Okay, so number one, I am building a community. And also I have promised Jesus and God that I do give with gratitude and grace. And it does feel good. And that's not because of what other people think, but hey, if you want to call it selfish, fine. But it feels good to do the right thing, which is have integrity. And it is called, I differentiate myself. And as Dr. Daniel Siegel says, every frequency, all the nervous systems have something to tell us. Because again, sciences will know that child didn't choose to be in a dysregulated environment. It begins in the womb, and then it also continues in those first 8 years. As of spirit, you know my LBLT experience. I've told you some of it. I chose my caregiver. In fact, I'll give you a little gist of it. It was amazing, this therapy, this hypnotherapy session. So I have had a number of them. It's a really great honor. Amazing again. So in this, lot of things went down, but let me just give you the gist of it as I'm choosing who I'm going to be born in. And I'm the empowered feminine energy that I already knew I was, even before knowing I knew, as a mystic, as I'm moving into more of it, okay? I pick my host and say, she's going to give me what I need. And then I said, okay, but I need two. And that's where I'm a twin. I told you all that. So I just remember as I'm picking up, ding, 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 on who is going to be that human being I'm going to get to go there. It was, she's going to give me what I need. And as I'm deciding, all my masculines flock around. And that's where it's beautiful space and time. It's like the cosmos. And that was that. My twin had a very different experience, by the way. And in fact, here's where I'm sure she'll be okay. I'll just share one side note. But on her end, the mother was picked. In fact, that wasn't surprising to me because I'm the one who said I need I need another one. It's going to be a big deal. I need two of me. Or not two of me, actually. It's my guardian angel. So that's really fun. And again, even if science says that all of our mystic stuff is bullshit, we know it's not. But then again, maybe it is. Does it really matter? Does it really matter if you love mystic, spiritual, and you have faith? And here's where, with the teenage boyfriend, I feel it in my bones. No, Maria, you're afraid of death. No, I'm not. I feel it in my fucking bones. But sciences will tell you that we want to explain meaning. We want to know meaning. And there's your human secondary consciousness, which is why this is a song that doesn't end. And it goes on and on, my friend. Some people started singing it, not knowing what it was, and they continue singing it. So here's where, as you know, I have a double infinity. And that's why I let you all know, pure consciousness, amazing. We will always know who we are, and we will not try to prove it, because that's exactly the whole point. You don't prove shit. 97% of what is out there is unavailable to be observed by scientists. Why would you try proving spirituality? Oh, I forgot, the left mode brain people. So yeah, they're not spirituality in my book, because the minute you need to prove it, you don't know how to be an expert yogi. Hey, Sadhguru, what's up? I ain't a yogi, but apparently I do have a marriage with darkness. Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk to you again. Okay, and so June, going to be an amazing month. I look forward to it, actually, as I continue to expand. And like I said, when you're empowered feminine, you're going to know who your empowered masculines are, your not empowered masculines are, and that's because you're going to know who empowered feminines are, who your not empowered feminines are. And what I mean by that is our brothers and sisters, 8 billion and growing. You better bet we're going to know who the 3D, 4D frequency are, because walk like an Egyptian. They're all... I'm a healer. Don't you dare trauma dump on me. And hey, remember, wedding bells. Sure. Wow, really. Performance in love now. I see. Wow, you're an amazing performer. That's going to get pretty hard. On the other hand, when you meet this, again, it's not fun to be around it, but it's understandable because they play that shit out on a karma wheel. So they have shadow come up, and then light come up, and shadow come up, and light come up, and you know, the truth is they don't know what they want in life, and they're going to keep on wobbling and wobbling, and at some point they're going to just allow yourself to... No, they won't stick around. So people who don't want to be their actual self in a relationship, they're not building a genuine relationship. So they won't stick around. If it's a partnership, you don't need to be concerned, because again, healthy self-worth people will always have healthy self-worth boundaries. Functional child adults. So we don't do the codependent stuff. That's why I gave you those stories. You will do real talk, which is why when I got one of my girlfriends, she always says, you put up barriers. I said, no, I know what I want and I know what I'm going to do and what my house is going to be like. That's it. I don't put up any barriers. And that is because some people don't know how to spell it out. I know how to spell it out. When it's important, you spell it out. Thank you, Facade Friend, for teaching me how not to waste my breath. Because again, those who are exiles and protectors of themselves, they will spot their maladaptive patterns. If they spot them, then they will heal them if they care about building genuine relationships. Or they will say, no, Maria, it's too hard. And plus, people are all fucked up anyways. And plus, people are evil. Why should I go do the work? That's how people have told me. They continue to spite people. So when people are upset because they didn't get good security in their household, they will be happy to go and poke at people. That's why it's not just parents that... Patrick Tian, he's for the trauma childhood that are healing. And he'll have shorts and little messages that talk about how parents know where to poke. It's not just parents. It's any person who has that pokety poke. You know why? Dr. Yanni Fox, what was it that they can spot? They can spot negativity a mile away. Yeah. So there's a way that the subconscious will work. So as long as you're vulnerable because you don't own your child parts, they'll pick at it. And what's fun about being a self-master, mature 0-1-year-old right here, walk like an Egyptian. They don't know what the fuck's going on, and it's okay because, again, like my facade friend showed me, they don't care what's going on. As long as you don't choose to be yourself for real, you ain't going to be a genuine human being. You're going to be a performer, and your circus act is going to be a small frequency. And you're going to just play the know-it-all, and every now and then we're going to get to meet that which is your insecurity. I always say 5 hands, but it might be more than that. I don't know. But we have a certain type of way that our body will try to protect ourselves. So ascension energies bring up that which is meant to be healed. people who don't want to heal themselves will not be healing themselves, and you heal child parts with a good therapist, and then you say, I want to do personal stuff, I want to learn now, and that's when they go to the Zen master who gives them a story, and they get to have a good time being flat earthers all together. Here we get to say, be yourself mindfully with spirituality for some of you. So again, let's go walk like an Egyptian. Have a good time on this lovely day. We'll be back with more shorts perhaps, and thanks for stopping by.